have Take Kurosawa who will be joining us. Hey Take, quick introduction and brief background to Take. He's a senior technical recruiter on LinkedIn's campus recruiting team with extensive experience managing scalable global university recruiting programs and hiring technical interns and new college grads for LinkedIn. So Take has called Hawaii home for 5 years and is looking forward to positively impacting the tech community here in Oahu. So Take, are you in a house or are you like?
Yeah, I live on Diamond Head side and have a
cool
little office room I've set up, prepping for remote life here.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us today. Do you have slides you want to share?
I have the slides. I'll go ahead and share that. Before I go ahead and jump in, Ellen, just want to check how many people are on the call, or so it looks like there's.
So we have about 18 right now. People are jumping.
Okay.
It's always, kind of fluctuating because people are going in and out across different rooms. So it would change.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Totally. And just to get an understanding, who are we talking to right now? Are we mostly students, mostly,
I think it's
experienced?
It's going to be a mix of experienced folks as well as, people from the mainland who are looking to come back to Hawaii or move to Hawaii, as well as some recent college grads as well.
Awesome. Cool. First off, thank you guys for having me here today. Today, going to give some just LinkedIn best practices, talk you through a lot of this stuff could be really basic for some of you, but also could, be interesting to just get the basics down. As I go through this presentation, feel free to hit me up in the chat box or Q&A. I'm not sure once I hit presentation mode if I'll be able to see it, but feel free to ask me questions. And if I can't get to them today, I'll go ahead and follow up with you after. All right. Alrighty, let's get started. Share. I hope you can see my screen. Thumbs up. Okay. Let me know if you can't see my screen. But oops, let me go back.
We're good. We can see your screen.
Okay, perfect. All right, cool. So this is my presentation. Happy to share this with you guys after as well. It's very, very simple. I'm just going to talk you through 8 steps that I recommend when making a LinkedIn profile, what recruiters are looking at, things to kind of focus in on. I am a recruiter here at LinkedIn, but that does not mean I'm like the super ultra expert. So if you find things that also work for you, definitely take my stuff, everything I say today with a grain of salt here. Your results may vary depending on where you are, what industry you are, things like that. But today I'm just going to go over high level overarching best practices and guide you through it. All right. So first off, this is probably the biggest advice. If you walk away right now and you have no profile photo on your LinkedIn, I highly, highly, highly recommend do it. Okay. We found that members that have a photo get 9 times more connection requests, 21 times more profile views, 36 more messages. And as a recruiter, just thinking about it, if you don't have a profile photo, I'm kind of like, oh, is this a bot? I know we're getting a lot of scam calls and stuff like that these days. So I really recommend just put a photo. It doesn't have to be a great photo. It doesn't have to be super professional suit and tie. I would recommend just do something how you're normally seen. Make sure you look neat, not like shotgunning a beer or something like that. So I recommend keep it. This is your brand. You control your profile. It's your story. Put a photo that you think represents you. I'm actually switching my photo. I have like a button up, nice face shot that I'm going to switch over to me holding a surfboard. So just because I feel like that's more authentic in who I am now. All right, cool. Next up, highly recommend add your industry. This is one field on there that I think people sometimes overlook and they have the wrong industry or they forget to fill it out. This is one of the biggest categorizations as a recruiter that as I search, I'm like, hey, I want to find a software engineer in Hawaii. Let's look at computer software as an industry and then see location-wise who's in Hawaii. So you're really, really missing out here if you don't have an industry. If you have a question of what is my industry? I'd recommend take a look at all of LinkedIn's industries. We have a pretty deep library of different industries. Google them, figure out what that niche is. On the flip side, if you are not in a specific industry and you want to be in a specific industry, say you want to be in film, or something like that, go ahead and put that there. And I think that helps you kind of distinguish yourself and let people know that this is what I'm interested, this is what I identify with. Some quick stats here. Members with industry information receive 9 times more profile views. and actually more than 300,000 people search by industry on LinkedIn every week. So name of the game with LinkedIn profiles, you want to also be seen. So these metrics of like 9 times more profile views, these are really, really big things. People are looking, recruiters are looking for people, but sometimes if they can't find you, like they won't know how great you are. So I really, really recommend add your industry, add a profile pic. Number 3, step 3, draft a compelling summary. Think of this as your elevator pitch. If you walk in, hopefully you know what an elevator pitch is. If you are in an elevator with like an executive or someone that you want to be, like how do you pitch yourself to get them hooked and hire you? Similarly, this summary is like your first snapshot, kind of your first branding you can give externally to someone looking at your profile. So this is a great one. As a sales leader with over 25 years experience, you can read it. I would recommend go on Google and just look up like good LinkedIn summaries. And I think you'll find some. In general, I would say keep it to less, like more than 40 words, but less than like 200. I don't know. It's just make it as short as you can make it, but also succinct and, colorful to explain who you are. Okay, next, step 4, and I think this is actually probably the most important, especially once you're in industry and have had a couple jobs, is detail your work experience. The stuff that you are doing is awesome, hopefully, and what you write under your description is what people think you're doing, or like you got to let them know how awesome you are. So I really recommend don't just leave this section blank. Like if you are a casino manager or some random job, I really recommend detail everything you do, add the metrics. I think that's something people forget. See how in this example, they said, I grew our software sales business line to over 20 million in revenue, 30 different countries. Those are some key numbers that if you can add into your experience, I think really helps give an idea of the scale and the impact of the stuff you're doing. Also recommend keep this semi-short. I'd say this paragraph I see right here is probably as long as I would read. You have to remember that like the recruiters reading your profiles or just people reading your profiles are not like wanting to read an essay. They want to get the information as quickly as they can and as succinctly as they can. So adding metrics, really focused on what you did. I would really avoid using like real fluff, like use teamwork to achieve my goals. That's like some of the most vague things. So really trying to make it as detailed as you possibly can, and add those numbers if you can. All right, step 5, add examples of your work. So this is a really overlooked thing. I think as a person, browsing through the web, I'm attracted to photos. I don't love just reading giant blocks of text, and this is a great way to diversify your profile a little bit, to add some color, but also a little bit of depth. So for example, if you are a programmer and CS major at UH and you're doing all these projects, put that here. Like put anything that you've worked on that someone interested in looking into your profile can like click through and understand like, oh, this is a news article he or she did. Like this is when, oh, this is a coding project they did for school. This adds a little bit of depth, and I would really, really recommend this could be like the make it or break it. If you're looking at 2 identical candidates that are equal level, but one has examples of their work listed like this might be kind of the thing that pushes you over and lets you get that up, reached out by a recruiter. Just because as a recruiter, I'd be like, okay, this one looks more complete, like I understand this person a little bit better. I want to give this person a chance over this person. All right, step 6, add volunteer experience. I think this is also a really overlooked spot. Like I love it when people are capturing what they do outside of work. What you do in your volunteer or even hobbies and stuff like that is, I think, super important to paint the picture of who you are on LinkedIn. So if you're working, like you're building houses for Habitat for Humanity, you're like walking dogs at a humane society, all that stuff is kind of cool. And like, you'd be surprised how often people connect with that. Let's say, I'm a big, animal rescue fan, and I see that on you've done a lot of volunteer experience. That's like another kind of a way to draw me in and make me interested in your profile. But also at the same time, like let's say you're interviewing for a job that is a nonprofit, and they love to see how much volunteer experience you have, like pre-found interest before just applying for a job. So if you have any volunteer experience, awesome, put it on. If you don't, not a huge deal breaker, but I would recommend, try to impact the community. This is a really tough year for everyone. So I think what better time to volunteer than now? All right, step 7, add skills and get endorsed. This is kind of like probably my most frequently asked question, like how often should I get endorsed? I say this is not super important. I say every step before this is probably more important, truthfully. But it doesn't hurt, like when I would say it's kind of like a fun game too. Just go around, like endorse people that that have these awesome skills. Like you can see this person has been endorsed for Microsoft Office, financial analysis, management. This is a feature, honestly, LinkedIn, I think we're still working on, but it's really cool that it adds, again, a little bit more depth to your profile. Let's say you are a software engineer and you have a ton of C++ and Java experience. And again, if I was a recruiter looking at your profile and I see you've been endorsed 99 times for this coding language, I'm like, okay, this person probably knows what Java is. So again, not a huge deal breaker if you don't have a ton of endorsements. I'd say give it a shot if you've never tried it. Endorse a couple people. It's kind of a good way of keeping in touch with people too. Just like, hey, I worked with my old manager. She was great at this. It's kind of pat on the back, but also a way to keep in touch if you haven't talked to that person for a long time and want a warm intro. Last one, step 8, request a recommendation. I know this one's a little bit uncomfortable. This is like the equivalent of like when you're applying for college and you get letters of rec from your teachers. I know it's a little uncomfortable sometimes asking for these recommendations, but I say they last forever. If you have recommendations from all your previous managers on LinkedIn that say Albert is the best employee I've ever had, that goes a really long way when you're looking at a profile, or just in general, if you're looking at anyone's profile and they're like, Albert has been the best employee, he doubled income for our company year over year for X number of years, like that recommendation holds a lot of weight. There's a fine balance. I would really recommend truly get recommendations from people you think know your work and will be authentic of that recommendation. I have definitely seen like some fake recommendations before from like friends. I'm like, oh, this is I can tell they just got it for the sake of getting it. So there's a fine balance, but I do recommend, especially if you're interning somewhere, this is something to walk away with after an internship, like a strong recommendation in your LinkedIn profile. Again, this is not going anywhere, and it's like great to just have record of how you've been performing. If you do this for several years, you'll have a like more or less entire portfolio of reviews, in the early of your career. So, okay, let's see. What happened? Okay, cool. Another few quick tips that if you don't already have on your profile, I really recommend add your location. So this one I know specifically you can game it a little bit with if you are not in Hawaii but want to be in Hawaii, and I can talk about that later. I'm pretty sure that'll be a question. But put your location of where you are, or at least maybe where you're intending to be, because that will be kind of like sometimes a deal breaker. Next, education. If you have and put any education on there, it's a really good way to see like people typically, like if they see someone from your alumni school, or if you're alumni from that school and you're trying to hire them, it gives you kind of an edge up. So any chance for commonality, I recommend put there. I get a lot of questions on GPA, should I put it there? It's up to you. It's not like a deal breaker if you don't, but if you do have like a really high GPA, I always do recommend. It's a good data point to have there. Another good one, publications. If you do anything publication-wise, put that under the experience section in that like multimedia zone. And then lastly, accomplishments. If you get any awards, there's kind of like an accomplishment section in LinkedIn where you can put that stuff there. So that was like the main part of my presentation. I want to show, since some of you guys are students, I want to kind of show you a couple quick tools. I'm actually stop there for a second. Alan, are there any questions in the chat? Is it possible to put multiple industries on your LinkedIn profile? I don't think you can right now, but I would say try to hone in on one. Sorry, Alan, were you going to say something?
Oh, no, I was just going to say you're not able to. I think only just one industry. Okay,
yeah. Cool. Since a lot of you guys are students, I want to show you this. So there's this like hidden, what's it called, like a alumni tool feature that's not like readily on the main homepage that I really recommend if you are alumni from a school that you use this example. So how to get here. Let's see. You can actually just type in the school. Let's say University of Hawaii, Manoa. And then you go to alumni. I don't think you actually even need to be alumni of this school anymore. But let's say you're in Hawaii, you're looking to do a career in, let's see, what's a random, you're interested in turtles, marine biology or something. And you went to UH and you graduated, I don't know, some years ago or recently, and you're looking for someone in that industry or from that school who has the word turtle in their resume or in their profile. So let's look for someone who graduated 2010 to 2020. Oops. I recommend playing around with this feature. It's really awesome. You can kind of like slice and dice a lot of the alumni and figure out, okay, cool. So there are 120 alumni at UH Manoa that graduated from 2010 to 2020 with the word turtle in their profile. This is, I think, a really interesting way to like kind of look up people in your network that you could reach out to. Let's actually do something more serious. Let's say you want to be, Ellen, pick me a random industry or random job.
Data science.
Data science. Okay, cool. So cool. So you can see that there are 4,000 alumni at UH that graduated within these years that had that keyword data science. So, and it gives you the ability to take a look at them. I think that's super, super cool. So you're not just like, it helps kind of tackle like a problem, a starting point for a problem. So let's say, for example, we see this person, Chris Beaumont. He's a UH Manoa grad. I have one connection with him. He's a senior data scientist at Netflix. If I'm trying to get into data science, this is a good person maybe to reach out to, especially if I went to UH. You see you have one shared connection. That's even better. You can ask, if you know that connection, you can kind of get that warm intro to Chris and have like a coffee chat. I think one trend I've been noticing since 2020 and everyone working remote, people are really receptive to helping others out. Over here, people are really open to coffee chats. So if you take one action from this, I do recommend go on LinkedIn, use the alumni tool and connect with someone you want to be or industry you're interested in. And use this tool, see if you have a shared connection with someone. Again, I would never recommend, if possible, get an introduction to someone. I think that usually helps. So yeah, if I was going to try to be a data scientist at Netflix, this guy would be a perfect fit. Same time, you can keep going through and look at any other industries you'd be interested in and get connected there. Okay, I'll stop right there. I have some more stuff I can go over, but want to leave some time to answer some questions.
I don't think we have any questions coming in right now, so maybe why don't you continue covering the content and then we jump back to questions.
Cool. Ellen, I'm actually going to go over your profile. I hope you don't mind. You have a really good profile here. So want to just kind of summarize things we were talking about. So don't worry, it's going to be, you did a great job. So Ellen has a great profile and I want to just kind of highlight some things she did really well and say like, I think, yeah, top A+ Ellen for your profile here. So first off, she has a photo, boom. Step one, she did it well. Next up, where is her industry? Oops. Ellen, I don't know if you have you have a tagline, I think, which is just as good. I think industry's somewhere there. Maybe they moved it around. LinkedIn's always changing its profile page a little bit. But one thing I didn't actually describe is the tagline. Tagline's super important. Growing Hawaii's tech economy and workforce. That immediately lets me know what Ellen's doing and what she's about, what she's passionate. Highly recommend you put some thought into this. This is kind of like the hook to get someone interested. I say be creative, be authentic. A lot of times this is like the main thing people look at when they're, see right over here on the people you may know section, you see the tagline. So those are the first three things people see: your photo, your name, and your tagline. So you want to make sure that that tagline is going to be pretty impactful and also appealing and draw people in. Next up, awesome. Ellen has done a great job with her about section. She's kept it short, but also very, very succinct. She's showing like what location she's working in, what industries she's working in, and kind of at the very end, I love the aspiring entrepreneur and tech startup enthusiast. That really like lets me know like, okay, this is who Ellen is. So I have as a recruiter, didn't take me too long to read that, but also very, very succinct and concise. And I think gets straight to the point. Okay, it's always good to see Alan's really active on LinkedIn. You know, this is not too stalkerish, but you can see like what people are posting, what they're liking. And I think this kind of shows interest in a specific industry. Let's say you're in real estate and you're commenting on a lot of real estate stuff, you're liking stuff. As a outside viewer, that gives me a pretty good idea of like, okay, this person is very interested. So looking at, you know, Ellen's activity just from a glance, I see that she's doing some awesome stuff, commenting, resharing stuff in the tech industry. Okay, man, Ellen, you nailed this. She's done a really good job of putting all her experience in here. And I think the best part that I see right away, and hopefully you guys can agree with me, she has a lot of cool content right away. Like as I'm looking at this, before I even read this section, I'm looking at her content like, oh, what's this? Oh, awesome. She's done public-private partnerships with the True Initiative. I can click into that, view a little bit more of what that is, and understand a little bit more about Ellen. Okay. Sorry, my roommate's like hammering in the background. Other than that, you can see what she's previously done. She's kept it pretty short, and I think very interesting in that like even small metrics of adding how many stores there are or for how long, and just all this kind of information is pretty interesting. She didn't link some of this in like a multimedia, but that's totally okay. Putting it hashtag handles or at Instagram handles, I think is totally good, as you can just go straight to it and look for it. Wow, Alan, you did a good job. Look at all these flowers you did. Wow, I might order some arrangements from you. Oh, you did that. Okay, I jumped the gun here. She's the e-commerce and digital marketing manager here. But hopefully she can hook it up if I am ordering flowers, or diamonds. Awesome. Cool, jumping straight down. So Ellen did a great job with her overall with her experience. I think some areas of improvement, Ellen, if you have maybe recommendations, actually they show up down here, never mind, she's got it nailed. Other than that, we have her education here. I think this paints a really strong picture of her education background, what she studied. She's added a lot of links, so great job here. Wow, you're really going above and beyond here, Ellen. Look at all these licenses and certifications. So if you haven't seen, LinkedIn has a lot of LinkedIn learning classes. They have a lot of classes you can take, but also, you know, you can take Google classes and you can put a lot of your certifications on here. I think the more the merrier here. As recruiters do put keyword searches, if you have like a specific license that's a tech networking license or something very niche, that'll pop up. And it's great to see that you're licensed in something niche that I as a recruiter am looking for. Diamond Essentials, Ellen, what is this? This is awesome. Wow, okay, so next up, she has her volunteer experience. This is really good to see too. This is the stuff that she does outside of work that's really important to her. So really great to see how she's been involved. And I think, again, you know, as I'm looking at profiles, like Ellen is active in a community, active in her industry, posting a lot. It's really good to see. I got a question. Oh, I see two questions. I'll answer the Coursera one. Coursera, yeah, definitely put any. I think Coursera has integration with LinkedIn. Yeah, like same with UC Davis. You should be able to put most certifications, licenses on LinkedIn, but definitely recommend if you've done it, definitely put it on. It doesn't hurt. Okay, last one. Recommendations, awesome that Ellen has not only received and also given recommendations. Again, this is over time, these recommendations will build and kind of paint your portfolio a little bit. And so you'll be able to, anyone looking at your profile will be like, oh, Ellen's one of the best people I've ever worked with kind of thing. So, okay, I've been talking straight for a while. I'm not used to just talking straight to a Zoom camera without getting responses here, but I'll go to answer a couple questions. Ellen, before I do that, anything you want me to answer?
Thanks for
great
sharing
job with
your
your profile. Yeah, no, you did a great job. All-star. You did a great job.
Okay, let's see. We have So Mason is asking whether you have an email address that he can send his resume to. So I think Mason, I mean, Take, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Mason, I don't think Take looks at resumes specifically. He can give.
Yeah. So I guess to follow up question to that, what is the intent? Like, do you need me to kind of resume review? And I guess the first question also, does LinkedIn hire in Hawaii? LinkedIn hires everywhere. I know right now we have all our live postings on, just go ahead and like Google LinkedIn jobs, linkedincareers.com. But yeah, I'll give Ellen an email address you can send resumes to, but I would love to have a little bit more context of, what are you trying to do with this resume? Is it, yeah.
Sure, and Mesa, we have other resources for resume review and writing, so I'm happy to share that with you. I'll leave my email in the chat. So if you want to reach out to me via email, and whoever needs resume review and writing kind of services, feel free to reach out to us. I mean, we do have people that we refer to for support like that. I think in terms of back to LinkedIn and some questions specific to LinkedIn, they talk a lot about kind of like SEO for LinkedIn, like keywords relevant to your industry that you would have to plant into your profile. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Totally. Great call out. And I actually should have talked a little bit more about that in experience. But highly recommend. Let me actually, no, this is a great, the alumni tool is a great example of it. You want to make sure that as you are kind of building your profile, you're adding specific jargon or niche words to your industry there, because that's how people are going to find you. Let's say you have nothing on your profile, just your career, where you're working at, but you don't have like, hey, I'm interested in, what's another good one? Analytics. Cool. That's kind of how people are going to find you, so make sure that you're looking at the words you put in there. If you're trying to identify with a specific job, for example, if you're looking at a job description that you're applying for, I would really recommend look through the job description for the words they're looking for under the basic and preferred qualifications. Try to match your profile with that. If that's something you have experience in and you're interested in. Again, really good call out, Alan. I'd say take a double look at your profile and the words that are in there, specifically like words you want to identify with. If you want to be in analytics, definitely should have analytics in your profile somewhere just so you can be searched. Good question. Any other questions?
I think another question I always had from other previous sessions on LinkedIn is, how far back do I go in terms of putting kind of work history, especially if you have a very long work history, like.
Totally. Yeah, I'd say that's a good call out. It depends on where you are in your career. If you're pretty early on in your career, I would put your internships and put as much as you can that you think is how you want to be branded. Again, you totally control your brand in this. Like, people don't have a way to look up your professional background other than LinkedIn, really. So kind of two zones here. The first one, if you're kind of new in career, I'd say put your internships or your volunteer experience. If you are a little bit more in your later career and you have tons of experience, I think that's where you have the ability to kind of curate and be like, how do I want to be seen? If that, internship back when I was in college has no relevance to what I'm doing now, nor what I want to identify with, I don't find a strong reason to put it on there. So yeah, great question, Alan. Alan, your profile is so cool though. You've worked in so many industries. What the heck?
No, I've always, it's all tech-based. It's all tech-based. We can.
But it's still, probably a ton about flowers and diamonds and.
Yeah, if you need to get, if you need to get married, anyone who needs to get married, I have all the right resources as well.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I think if there are no other further questions, Taki, do you have an email address that you want to share with me, like a generic?
Yeah. Let me send you one over. I have a couple email addresses that I route. So I'll share that with you, Alan, after this call, and we'll route it to the right questions to the right area.
Awesome.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Sure. Thank you so much for joining us today and for sharing all these tips with our attendees. And we hope to have you back for a longer session next time.
Awesome. Thank you. Everyone, look at Alan's profile. It's awesome as an example. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. I will send that email address, and thanks for being here. I think this is step one in finding a job. So.
And I think it's a reminder maybe for, Take, it's that you can change your profile every single day and no one would really know. So, keep making optimizations and tweaks. I think that's
awesome. Actually, the best way to reach out to me on LinkedIn. Find me, Take Kurosawa, connect with me on there. And if you have any questions, that's probably the best avenue. Heck, I forgot I work at LinkedIn. That's what I got to be pitching here. All right. I hope you guys have a good rest of your day. And if you have any questions, reach out via LinkedIn. Stellar profile, Alan. I like that last comment.
Thank you, Jade. I know who you are.
All right. Take care, all.
Okay.
All right. Bye.
Bye.